Let's go over 10 things every Dynasty College Football 25 player should know. The game has been out for a while now, but yet we're still learning new things every single day. So let's go over just 10 things I feel like every Dynasty player needs to know to have a good experience. If y'all enjoyed the content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We have our Temple Dynasty live streaming happening tomorrow on Wednesday, and we're also live streaming every other day this week. So my first tip here has to do with recruiting. I'm gonna talk y'all through it, then I'm gonna show y'all the example. So I suggest if you want to bring in the best possible recruiting class, whatever method you use don't really matter. Whether you horse, doesn't matter. What you're going to do is go after every 5 and 4 star you possibly can all through the season. Don't go after any 3 stars until you can only go after 4 stars. And because 3 stars are way too easy to get in this game. You see here, we're at the transfer portal with Rutgers. We come in here, click on the transfer portal. We have 0 prospects on our list. You come over here to the prospect list. We're only going to look at high school guys. We won't even look at the transfer portal guys. We're going to come to 3 stars because it's going to be so many 3 stars you could get at every single position. You look at quarterback. We covered this earlier in the year. Like, the amount of players that do not go to a school that's 3 stars is crazy in this game. You come over here, you search by targets. We're at the quarterback position for 3 stars, and it is a ton of them. Unrecruited, literally have no scholarship offers. You look over here, and these are high school guys. You see, they have no scholarship offer. And you could go through these guys and you can scout. You can see who's a gem. There's going to be plenty of gems in here. Plenty of phenomenal players. You got athlete quarterbacks. You got everything you could ask for. And they're all 3 stars. So I'm suggesting if you want to bring in the best possible class, don't go after any 3 stars during the season. You could get them all during this off season, and they don't even have to fully commit. All you have to do is move it to number 1 and offer the scholarship, because so many of these guys would never even get a scholarship offer. What happens to them? They just disappear. They don't get recruited and go to no school. So I'm suggesting, look, you continue here. Look at every position. You come over here to running back. There's also going to be a ton of them. Other positions are less players, so just keep that in mind. Running back is a little bit less, but you could definitely still bring in a bunch of 3 stars that have no scholarship offers. Nobody's pursuing them. And you might think, oh, they just bust. No, some of these guys are actually gems and very good players. Wide receiver, you're going to have a ton here as well. Ton of 3-star receivers that's never being recruited, and they're all high school guys. Tight end is going to be a good amount as well, 3-star tight ends. But when you get to the O-line is a position. If you want some guys, you're going to have to get them during the season, especially tackle. Get the O-lineman during the season. You got 2 tackles here that is essentially not committed. You go to guards, it's only going to be a handful. Only a handful of guards. Sometimes it's none during this offseason. High school guys we're talking about. Only high school guys. You look at center, you'll have a couple centers. Center you'll be able to fill in your offensive line if you need them with the centers. But like I said, I suggest probably O-line is the only position you really need to recruit in the season if you want to get some good 3 stars. D-line, you see here, you got some dogs. You got a lot of them. Defensive ends, and it's a good amount here. You can scout, figure out who you want. If you don't want to scout, you just want to bring in some guys, you can do that as well. You can literally fill up your entire recruiting class all during the off season. You could bring, I did it before. I did it in the video. I brought in 35 3 stars all in the off season. All in the transfer portal, all high school guys. D tackles a good amount. Outside linebackers, not that many. Linebackers another position that you might want to take care of during the season, because not that many will make it to the off season. Middle linebacker will be a little bit better, but it's just not that many. You do have an athlete here. You do have 2 athlete middle linebackers, so you know they're going to be pretty good. And then cornerback will also be a solid amount, not crazy. You could maybe bring in a couple here. And then also safety is going to be a little bit better. You could bring in safeties during the off season. So keep this in mind. When you're recruiting and you're like, damn, I need this position, I need that position, just keep in mind, quarterback, you don't need to prioritize. If you plan on bringing in 3-star, you don't need to prioritize that at all. There's so many of these 3-star players that you could get for free. And like I said, that bar does not have to fill up. All you have to do is be number 1, and it has to hit the end of the year, and they'll commit to your program even if the influence bar is not full. Next, I want to tell you guys that Playbook matters, man, especially if you're simming. If you're playing every game, Playbook obviously matters, but in simulation, Playbook matters a lot, man. If you want a guy that's going to win the Heisman at quarterback, you got to go with a handful of playbooks, man. I'm going to be honest. Whatever team you see consistently putting the Heisman Trophy winners out, I know like USC, I swear they get the most amount of Heisman, and like when I advance, they win the Heisman the most. So I suggest going with like a USC playbook. Even if you're playing the moments, part of that game is being simulated. So what offense and defensive playbook you use matters. I wouldn't suggest using a custom playbook. They seem not to do that well in simulation. So if you want to have success, and like I said, if you're simming, everyone won't sim, but the playbook certainly matters when it comes to simulation. Overall matters as well, but the playbook definitely matters as well. Next thing I want to talk about is team prestige. A lot of people been dropping by my stream asking, how do I get my team prestige up? Whatever about. Listen, you see here in the bottom left corner, it reads, team prestige is a composite value of all your school grades. So what this tells me, you could go with a 1-star program, go 12-0 in the season, and your only grade that might improve in that moment is your championship contender. Your conference prestige still might be low if you're in a bad conference. If you're in the Sun Belt, you see that has a D prestige. That won't improve. Some things will improve over time, like your pro potential if you pit players in the NFL, but that's important. That grade takes a while to improve, especially if you're a bad program. Brand exposure also takes very long to improve. So it's really, you got to get all these grades up. So there's no way to just improve your school prestige, especially if you're starting off as a 1-2 star. There's no way to improve it 1 year, man. It takes a while to get some of these grades up, but things like championship contender, you can immediately improve. Pro potential, you can immediately improve if you have some good players. If you got draft or you got recruit players and let them get drafted, you cooked. It's going to take you a while to improve this whole team prestige, but this is essentially your NIL, yeah, whatever. It's one of the most important things when it comes to your dynasty, and it takes a couple of years to improve, just like it should in real life. And just make sure I'm utilizing this screen and actually come in here and see how to improve each grade. It tells you program tradition. It tells you how to improve it. You gotta win bowl games, conference games, get a Heisman Trophy winner, go to the playoffs, win playoff game. It tells you how to improve your brand exposure. You gotta win games. You gotta win these national televised games, go to the playoffs, all of those type things. It tells you the two things that won't change is academic prestige, and then also your campus lifestyle will not change. So if you're just in a bad location, if you got a bad academic school, you're cooked. So we talked about how to get your school prestige up. Let's talk about the best way to get your pro potential up. And I think it's certain positions that develop a lot better than others. And I would say tight end and probably O-line. For me personally, they always get drafted the first in my dynasties, especially because you bring in a lot of old linemen. But you find you a 3-star gem old lineman, and for me it's like centers. The centers, I feel like they jump up the highest overall in my experience. So whenever I get like a 3-star gem center, they seem to jump up to like an 87, 89 overall. That 87 overall, that threshold is whether a player get drafted. You'll have a player 88 overall that doesn't get drafted. You'll have a player to 87 that does get drafted, 86 that will get drafted, 86 that won't. It kind of depends position by position, but I aim to try to get players to that 87 overall, and that'll really help your pro potential. Yes, they'll get drafted in like the 6-7 round, but everything helps when you're a 1-star program. So I suggest going after gym O-lineman, 3 stars. If you can't get the 4 stars yet, cool. Get the gym 3-star, and a lot of these guys will develop. And I also would suggest go for a blocking tight end. 3-star gym. If you're able to get a 4-star gym, a lot of these blocking tight ends, they get under recruited, and a lot of times they be gems. Don't bring in the normal vertical threat or possession tight end. I wouldn't suggest that. But if they're a blocking tight end, normal or a gym 4-star, go all out for them, because in my experience, they jump up to the highest overall the quickest. So you're able to get a player drafted. You bring in a 4-star wide receiver that is a dog in your head, and you actually look at him. You look at his caps, and he might max out at 84, 85 overall. With the O-lineman, that's not happening. You bring in a 4-star gym, 3-star gym on the O-line, they're actually going to get to a much higher overall, and they'll actually get there. They just don't have the potential. They'll actually reach it. So if you're looking to get your program prestige up and then also your pro potential up, go after the O-lineman. 3 stars, just go for the gyms, 4-star gyms, and then also you want to get you a blocking tight end. Even if you don't play the blocking tight end, it's the fact that you have him, and he'll develop through all-season training. Eventually he'll get drafted. So the next thing every dynasty player should know, we'll do this one super quick. If you come over here, press triangle on the player on PS5 and come over here to stats. I showed this in another video, so we're just gonna do this super quick. You come over here to traits. You're able to see every single player traits, and this is important for certain positions. O-line, not as important, but quarterback, it is important. I dropped a whole video going over this, but if you're wondering why your quarterback is not making great throws, why he don't have a tight spiral, he might not have that trait. So make sure you come in here and look at this if you want to. Every player should know how to do good visits. Visits could be trash in this game. If you do them wrong, you'll think they're trash. But if you know how to finesse them and do them right, they could be the game-changing factor of you getting the 5-star, 4-star player, whatever. So here, we're at the schedule, and your primetime visit weeks, for me, is probably anything after week 3. So week 4, this is the only game we could really schedule between this week 5, 6 period. So FCS school is going to do nothing for us on the visit. Nothing. We're going to get no boost. So I want to remove that. I'm going to come in here, and what's a team that we could beat? At least a team that we could beat that's better than us, or at least have a little bit better prestige, that might have a good record, but they play in a bad or whatever. And we'll go with like Colorado. They're 84 overall. They're 4-star. This is a team we think we could beat, and we're gonna make sure this is a home game for us. We're gonna pit it at our home stadium, and this is gonna be a primetime visit week for us. Obviously, it might be a close game, but if we do win this game, put these players on the visit, it could have a tremendous boost. Let's go look at it. All right, so if we hop in here and we actually look at the visits, first of all, I wouldn't schedule a visit for anything less than a 4-star. Personally, I don't schedule visits for 3 stars. I don't even want to schedule visits for 4 stars. I want to schedule visits only for 5 stars that I need to. But if we need a 4-star and we need to visit, whatever, I'll do it. But I really don't like visits in this game all that much, because the penalty if you lose is huge. And the penalty if you win is, I feel like, not that big at times. That's why you got to do them correctly. So if you're able to do like an offensive visit, like week 4, and then we would have scheduled a game week 7, or if we would have had one of our conference games home, that week 5, week 6 game, we could did like a defensive visit for that week, and we could did all these complimentary visits, and it could have worked out perfectly. But in this situation, you have the week 4 game, and you could schedule some guys on visits. But you look here on the right side, you see higher tier opponent. Are they really? Maybe, probably, but it's a team we could beat, so we get the best possible boost for this. For the bye week, you get none. Scheduling the bye week visits, unless you're going to do a bunch of complimentary visits on the bye week, is pointless. That's the only reason to do a bye week visit. Even during the off season, I feel like the off season visits are pointless, because it does not change much at all, because you got to have the complimentary visits for the bye week. You see here, Penn State, higher tier opponent. Then you get to the rivalry games. That's going to take it to another level. If you're able to schedule a visit during a rivalry game against a higher tier opponent, and you win that game, oh man, that's going to change the recruiting crazy. So just be aware of that. If you're able to schedule a rivalry game week 5, week 6 at home, that's going to be perfect. Something along them lines, and that'll allow you to really dominate visits. Other than that, visits are trash. All right, next let's talk about coach build. And people have been asking me, what's the best coach build? What's the best coach build? Especially in the streams. Listen, this is my favorite coach build. When it comes to the best coach build, I think this could be the best if you do it right. And it is super try hard when it comes to recruiting. You come over here to recruiter, we're maxing out the regular recruiter, and then damn near maxing out the elite recruiter. My thought process, when you have this type of coach build, we're Georgia right here. So Georgia, with this coach build, we signed 35 stars. We signed damn near every single 5-star in a high school recruiting class. We're Georgia. If you do this at a 1 or 2-star program that you build up, get this super elite coach build, you will also sign, maybe not 35 stars, but you can sign 15. You can sign 20 for sure, especially when you come in here to program builder also, and you get this relationship builder, and then also strong roots. And then also CEO, we're into the instant commit. So my thought process was going with the just crazy recruiter coach build, because if you're recruiting nothing but 5-star gyms and 4-star gyms and the best players in the nation, does like architect matter? I don't think so. Like, I love architect, I do. But skill caps are not really going to play a factor when we're bringing in the best players every single year. Strategists don't matter at all. I think that's the worst out of all of these skill trees in the whole game. Tactician matters, but that's why you got the offense and defensive coordinators. We could get the tactician for our offense and defensive coordinators, and then also motivator matters when it comes to offseason development. Well, guess what? We could get them for our offense and defensive coordinator. Like here, this is a perfect offense and defensive coordinator for us. And then Time developer matters a little bit, but not when we're bringing in the best possible players. But everyone asks, what's the best coach build? This is my best coach build, but do what you want with it. Have fun. Put some restrictions on it. We got a series where we're not touching tactician. I feel like tactician too easy. So the best coach build is whatever you do, whatever you have the most fun with, and change it up. Every dynasty, I do a different coach build. I do something different. I do a theme coach build. Next, we're doing Deshaun Jackson at Delaware State, the live streaming dynasty we're going to do over on Twitch. Go follow me over there. And for that, we have a super specific coach build we're going to use for that. And so like every single dynasty I'm changing up. So the best coach build, if you ask me, is this. If you disagree, I get it. Every dynasty player should know that overall is not everything. It's important. It plays a factor, especially like we mentioned earlier, man. Players getting drafted, pro potential, all of those things. Simulation matters in simulation more than matters than actual gameplay. And you see our team overall. I think the team overall is so thrown off. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. But I'm talking about player overall, man. And let's look here. Let's look at our running backs. And if you look at all of these, or our top 2 running backs, Brian Sis, James Lewis, shout out to the Temple series. Our top 2 running backs, we start James Lewis. He has won running back of the year 2 years. He has won that award. We start him. Brian Sis is the backup. If you just go with your starting the running back, you would start Brian. And to me, James Lewis got way better stats, higher speed. Also, like the trucking ability is crazy. He's able to run through guys, and his trucking rating is not even that good. But the break tackle is what's key. That 96 break tackle is game changer. And then when it comes to like his juke move, all of those different things, it's not that much lower than Brian. Brian is a receiving back, so the catching rating, route running is going to be better. But when it comes to like actually being a good running back, James Lewis is better at that. So you actually have to come in here and look at these guys' ratings. Don't just start the best guy. Ratings matter, but like how a guy plays matter a lot more. And I'll say the same thing with safeties. John Beck is a hybrid safety. We know they don't develop that well, but his attributes are the best. Highest speed, 97 speed. Look at our other safeties, 89, 86. He's an athlete out here. And then also you get to the coverage. He could cover both man and zone. Press is not there. He's a safety. That's fine. But he could cover. He's our starting safety, and he's all the way down here as an 81 overall. And we got a couple players better than him. Catching not great, tackling not great, but John Beck plays out this world. I promise you. We started these other 2 guys. We tried them out, and then we ended up going with John Beck, and he plays a lot better than his attributes. So especially if you're going with a dynasty where you're playing every game, don't just go with the highest overall. If you're simulating, then I would suggest you might want to go with just the highest overall player to give you the best chance to win the simulation. Next, I want to talk about the transfer portal, and I'm of the mindset, avoid the transfer portal at all costs. Do not touch this thing unless you need to. Do not touch this thing. Small, big program. I would not suggest touching this thing. 5 stars. We have no 5 stars in this transfer portal. Every transfer portal a little bit different. Some transfer portals you'll have 25 stars, legit 20 or 24 stars in the transfer portal. If y'all know anything about the portal, the 4 stars are the only useful players, unless you're like a 1-star program that's just trying to scrape by. But if you're like improving your program, the 4 stars is the only thing that's useful. The 3 stars are useless. And you see here, we actually have 54 4 stars in this transfer portal. That's good for this class. Luckily, there is a way to at least increase some players to transfer. We'll drop a whole video just going over the transfer portal and how I feel about it. But when it comes to the 4 stars, I would consider going after some of these 4-star transfers. It depends. You know these guys are going to come in with at least a solid overall. The national rank really matters for these 4 stars. All the players in transfer portal, national rank matters a lot. For the high school guys, national rank does not matter as much. But I would suggest avoiding these guys. They don't develop, man. I swear, they do not develop. You bring them on campus, off-season training hit, they don't go up. The next season, off-season training hit, they still don't go up. And that happens to me. So I avoid the transfer portal at all costs, unless I'm going after a 4 or 5-star player, but it's rare. It depends at the position, how bad I need it, because I know these guys won't progress, and oftentimes they're not. I bring in a guy from the transfer portal, and he comes in at an 84 overall, and guess what? Somebody jumps his overall because he didn't progress during the offseason, and it's like, damn, this guy never going to play here. So oftentimes, I avoid the transfer portal, man. So my last tip that everyone should know is be careful of moving players to outside linebacker. And you see here, Greg, he's a middle linebacker, 77 overall. Let's say we want to move him to outside linebacker. he turns into a speed rusher, but his overall goes up. Let's do it. You move these guys over to outside linebacker. If they turn into a speed rusher, they will stop developing. It's a glitch in this game. Speed rushers are not supposed to be a thing. So he's a 79 overall speed rusher. He will never progress as a speed rusher outside linebacker. It's a glitch. Like I said, I'll drop probably a whole video because it's actually like a way to take advantage of this essentially. But in like the situation where you just want to, a guy to progress and you think he's going to be higher overall, if you make him a speed rusher outside linebackers, only power rushing outside linebackers, and then also, pass coverage and run stoppers, speed rusher will never develop. So you come in here, look at Greg, press triangle on him. Let's go look at his ratings, You can't. It's glitched. Like, this is literally what it looks like. Top right corner, he has 18 coins. We hit off-season training. He has 18 coins, and you literally can't even look at his ratings. He would never go up. His coins will just keep progressing, keep going up, but his overall will never change as a speed rushing outside linebacker. So just be conscious of that. You might do it by mistake, move a guy he didn't realize, and why he's not developing, this is why. Man, if y'all enjoyed that or learned anything at all, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Drop anything down below that you feel like I missed, you want to comment about. Other than that, go follow me over on Twitch. Click the video on the screen now for my temple rebuild.